Let us pray. Almighty God, we you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and will promote the interests of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelele lezwiletu na bantu balo, umisili ukulungu kwipondo letu. Kosi sikalela I Afrika, kinga bantuana bayo, kokelo in kokeli zayo, iniki ukolo I Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated. Good morning, honourable members. Good morning to our guests in the gallery. Welcome. Good morning to the administration. It is a privilege and an honour for me to welcome you here today. However, to our guests, I do need to draw your attention to the rules of the gallery. You are not allowed to participate in the debate in any way, and that includes interjection, heckling, or clapping. Similarly, please kindly ensure that all your cell phones are placed on silent at this point in time. I'm now going to ask the Secretary to read the first order of the day.
Debate on Vote 11, Agriculture, Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
I now see the Honourable, the Minister for Agriculture, Minister Beverly Schaefer.
Thank you, Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, Honourable Members of the Provincial Legislature, Heads of Provincial Departments, special guests in the gallery, members of the public, ladies and gentlemen, and to our emerging black farmers who are here this morning, a very good morning. Speaker, last year, as a result of the additional funds allocated for disaster management, this department received over $1 billion in funding for 1 year for the first time ever, and this is what we have to show for it. Now, you may look at this apple and see nothing more than a healthy snack. But for the Department of Agriculture and all of our farmers, our partners, this apple is a fruit of our combined labor. This apple represents economic growth, and it represents our export potential. Thousands of hours have gone into growing this apple. Each of the operational programs within the Western Cape Department of Agriculture has played a role in how this apple comes into this room today. Speaker, when Minister Wendy delivered his department's budget speech last year, the outlook was grim. The province was in the grip of one of the worst droughts in history, and avian influenza almost decimated our poultry industry. We have, however, weathered the storms, and the agricultural sector is showing new shoots for recovery. The most recent employment numbers released by Stats SA show that agriculture and agri-processing sectors have started their recovery, adding about 35,000 jobs between the third and fourth quarter of 2018. Despite the difficulties, the sector showed resilience, and in 2018-2019, exports still increased by 1.4%. The sector is critical to the Western Cape economy, and in 10 years, between 2007 and 2017, agricultural exports increased by 20.9 billion to more than 63.8 billion in 2017. The agricultural sector produced 51% of all exported goods from this province, and 45% of South Africa's total agricultural exports come from this province. So when someone in Malaysia bites into a South African Granny Smith apple, it is most likely grown on the Western Cape soil. Our allocation of 911,131 is divided as follows. Program 1 administration will receive 132.754 million. Program 2 sustainable resource management will receive 84.753 million. Program 3, Farmer Support and Development, will be allocated the bulk of the budget with 315.655 million. Our Veterinary Services Programme 4 will receive 106.381 million. In Programme 5, Research and Technology, there has been an allocation of 140.710 million. Programme 6, Agricultural Economic Services, will receive 36.007 million. Programme 7, Structured Education and Training, receives an allocation of 67.336 million, and Programme 8, Rural Development, will receive 27.535 million. This year's budget receives 33 million in new funding for the 2019-2020 year, and we will be allocating 30 million of this towards developing economic opportunities in agri-processing, export promotion, market access, rural development, land reform, and in building our competencies and new technologies to respond to the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution. The remaining 3 million will be allocated to the expanded public works program in agriculture. Speaker, the Sustainable Resource Management Directorate, which deals with disaster response, land care and land use, has been pushed to their limits over the past year, providing support to farmers who have not only been impacted by the drought, but also fallen victim to floods and fires. The drought continues to be a major concern in certain regions of the province, including the Central Karoo, the Eden District and the West Coast, and the disaster management sub-program continue to provide disaster relief in the form of fodder vouchers every month. Speaker, earlier this year, I met with some farmers from the Central Karoo who showed me the impact the drought has had on their farming operations. Farmers in the region have battled against personal and economic losses, depression and anxiety of not knowing how long it will be before the rains come. In many areas, no natural vegetation has survived, and planted pastures and fodder banks have long been exhausted. Surplus animals have been culled, and farmers are confronted with selling their breeding stock. The farmers told me how the fodder support we have been able to provide has provided a lifeline, allowing them to continue farming when they would not have been able to continue. In Kanaland, the situation is certainly dire, and farmers are doing all that they can just to keep their businesses afloat. It's a tragedy that disaster relief funding can only be used to assist livestock farmers, as our fruit and vegetable crop farmers in this region are also really struggling. Speaker, last year, the Department of Agriculture received a total of 170 million towards fodder support, efforts at adjusted estimated time. This is part of the departmental submission for drought support until September 2019. Our Farmer Support and Development Program has received the biggest bite of the apple this year, as we focus on providing support, funding, and extension services to our black farmers. Over the MTEF, the department has allocated over 1 billion rand towards successful land reform and related activities. Speaker, over the weekend, I attended the handover of title deeds for the Western Cape's oldest and largest outstanding agricultural restitution claim at Ebenezer with the Premier. This claim has stretched out over a period of 22 years, which is far too long. The pace of land reform must be improved if we're going to be able to transform this sector. The Department of Agriculture will continue to support the farmers of Ebenezer, Beerswater, and Valplaas to ensure that they get on their way to becoming commercial agricultural producers. To date, 14 million has already been invested in their bulk water supply system. Agricultural products in this province, but it is not just apples, pears, and grapes that are the fruit of this department's work. Working with all our partners, we have helped to grow people's dreams, improve livelihoods, and protect the industry from threats like climate change and disease. We're planting our seeds now for the future so that we can develop the talent and the technology of the fourth industrial revolution. Speaker, I would like to thank my predecessor, Minister Alan Winde, for the energy and commitment he has put into this portfolio over the last 10 years. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the Department HOD Joanne Isaacs and her committed team at Elsenburg and all the officials and extension officers stationed around the province who are really doing exceptional work to ensure that we continue to reap the seeds we sow. I'd also like to thank my staff at the Ministry, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in my next speech. But I'd like to acknowledge again the hard work of the Standing Committee Chair, Mr. Honourable Simmers, and his committee, who strengthened the sector through accountability and oversight. And finally, I would like to, in particular, to thank Mr. Ari van Ravenswaai, who printed all the fly traps for you today. And for those who haven't seen them, they are busy printing them outside in the foyer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Schaefer. I now see the Honourable Member Simmers.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you very much, Minister. Before I start my formal speech in Afrikaans, we have a saying that agter elke suksesvolle man staan 'n goeie vrou. Vandag is die skoen in die ander voet. Speaker, on the 5th of March, Minister Meyer tabled a budget that focused on the following. He said a budget for jobs, a budget for service delivery, a budget for safety, a budget for youth, a budget for infrastructure, a budget for climate change, and lastly, a budget for good governance. In the agriculture sector, Madam Speaker, the hope always remains that all state instruments must facilitate a journey of change and have a budget behind it that must encompass the future vision the state envisions for all sectors of society to enable this change. The MTF allocation for Vote 11 is a clear sign that this DA-led government is focused on ensuring positive economic and job opportunity growth and thus creating a more resilient agriculture sector. To substantiate this and to feed it back into Minister Meyer's tabling of the budget, I will now focus on key elements of Vote 11 that will underline the emphasis on job creation, land reform, and infrastructure development for the sector, utilizing one specific catalytic project that is due to happen the next term of Parliament. Voorsitter, watersekerheid en volhoubare voorsiening van hierdie lewens- en sektor noodsaaklike bron is kardinaal vir die landbousektor en die werksgeleenthede wat die sektor skep, tans bly hou en beoog om nog te skep elke seisoen. Dit is daarom welkomend om te verneem dat die Brandvlei-kanaal walverhogingsprojek weer binne die vizier van die regering is. Word om die geprojekteerde voltooiing van die constructiefase daarvan heel moontlik gedurende 2020 sal geskied. Nou, huisvoorsitter, deur hierdie wal met 30 cm te verhoog, sal daar 33 miljoen kubieke liter meer water beskikbaar gestel word vir besproeiing. Maar wat beteken dit? Die impak van hierdie addisionele besproeiingskapasiteit, voorsitter, gaan teweegbring dat daar 'n addisionele 4400 hektaar beskikbaar grond sal wees vir landbouverbouing. Maar wat beteken die 4400 hektaar, voorsitter? Speaker, an additional 4,400 hectares for agricultural cultivation will firstly attract more than 2 billion rand in capital investment, resulting in the creation of 8,000 primary job opportunities and 6,500 secondary job opportunities, which we all here believe will change the quality of lives for the surrounding communities who will ultimately be the beneficiaries of this life-changing project. And as this department already has an excellent land reform success rate, and ja, member Dagmo, fact check maar dit asseblief. The Brandvlei project will unlock an additional 836 million rand, which equates to 50% of this department's land reform target. You can fact check that as well, please. Ja, nee, doen het maar met liefde. But Speaker, zeg iets anders.
Order, please.
Though I have highlighted but one catalytic project and its envisaged impact on job creation, land reform, which the ANC has dismally failed at, and infrastructure development for the sector, I'm also aware, as our ministers have highlighted, that the fourth industrial revolution and climate change is letting government and sector stakeholders plan and think ahead to ensure the creation of economic opportunities for the agriculture sector. Voorsitter, hierdie DA-regering, anders as die ANC, sit die daad by die woord om te verseker dat onder andere daar oor hierdie MTF-periode 132,75 miljoen begroot word om te verseker dat die provinsiale regering sal bydra tot suksesvolle landelike ontwikkeling en reform, die 4de industriële revolusie en klimaatsverandering om die ontsluiting van ekonomiese geleenthede te verwesenlik vir hierdie sektor in ons provinsie. Speaker, over the last decade, this DA-led government, through all of its departments, have competently facilitated a journey of change to bring our residents and sector stakeholders together for the better. And I believe that after the 8th of May, and with a credible budget to fund its strategic objectives further, our incoming Premier, Alan Winde, will lead a DA-led provincial government that will ensure all our residents and the agriculture sector go from better to excellent in economic and job opportunity growth. Because as the Premier stated,
Order, please.
As the Premier stated, this government has chosen to travel the road less traveled. And 10 years of success have shown us to do the right thing at the right time will have an ultimate life-changing impact on the residents of our province and not so much more even in the agriculture sector. And I want to thank the Premier and the former Minister of Agriculture and our incumbent Minister for taking the road less traveled. En die ANC sal dit nooit doen nie. Dankie.
Thank you. Can we get some order, please? I now see the Honourable Member Chacham.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me welcome the speech of the Minister. I must say that it's a 360 U-turn from what we have been used to, and in particularly the focus on young people and women in particular. So we must appreciate that. But I must also say,
Order,
Chair,
please.
I won't elaborate on some of the issues because the MEC touched them in relation to our strength in the export market, our contribution in the GDP, and of course our robustness and innovativeness as the sector that enables it to withstand the natural challenges that we sometimes get, and all the budget constraints that are put upon the industry. Chair, let's also appreciate the role that the sector is playing, not only in agriculture, but also in the manufacturing, because plus 70% of the manufacturing industry benefits from agricultural production. Chair, let me also take this opportunity to welcome the handing over of Ebenezer restitution land by President Ramaphosa. It was a good gesture that is long been awaited. We know that some of the farmers were unwilling. They even went to court to protect their farms. And we know that at some stage, the DA protected and supported them. So we welcome the handover. Chair, maybe one part what one wants to correct from the MEC was that our budget last year, it did not just arrive to plus 1 billion, over 1 billion. It was because due to natural disasters that happened, and hence adjustments had to make be made in the budget in order to make sure that from the national budget, from the national government, they are able to assist the province to withstand those challenges. So our budget has just not been over 1 billion. We must acknowledge that. And this current budget has also increased. We have our increase, the inflationary increase that we have, which is much higher than what we have last year. Chair, I think it is important to say that as an industry and as a legislature, we must hold our industry in high esteem, and we must support them continuously. We must not play politics in the industry, because when we play politics, not only the province will be affected, but the country and the region as a whole will be affected. Therefore, it's important that we must I'm going to focus, Speaker, on 3 issues in terms of this budget. 1, on the core functions of the department. 2, on Program 8 of the department. And the last one, on the allocation to district or municipalities. Speaker, we must say that the department have a history of best performance, particularly in the periods of 2011, 2012, 2013, under the leadership of MEC Gerrit van Rensburg. The management of the department have more than 100 years combined experience that have helped it to navigate and adjust to challenging times. The 5th session of Parliament was indeed a major setback for the Parliament. Suddenly, the department could not fulfill its core functions, namely governance, leading to it in 2016 and 17 qualifications findings under the HESA, in particular under internal control deficiencies, irregular expenditure, and further leadership not exercising its oversight role on financial matters. Go again, 2017 and 18, the legislature will refuse again to perform its oversight function, not even after Advocate Leroux told the committee that there are not cockroaches here, perform your duties unreservedly. But the DA had to use its majority vote to run away from accounting. The premier candidate and former MEC Ellen Winter was so resolute not to account at all. The current minister was introduced and instructed by the DA to caution and protect their candidate, not to face the oversight of the weaknesses in leadership during his department.
Isn't that corruption?
Exactly. The current MEC had to play along as the former pleaded with her in their visit in Italy when she ran away from the committee study tour to probably get the briefing of the new post. So till today, the committee has not done a proper oversight that deals with the committee matters and also that deals with finances, because the department under the MEC brought about more than 100 questions that must not be asked. And what is the work of the committees if we cannot ask questions that relate to the fundings of the HESA? The HOD, we are HOD, you are an accounting officers, and never allow anyone to pressure you to drop the ball. Always remember the legislature is there to support the good work that you have always done before the 5th session. We know the work, you know your worth, we know that you can deliver, but never allow anyone to bulldoze you and do things that are unbecoming. The point 2, which I'm hoping to hear from the minister, under the program 8, rural development, under this program, rural development.
Members, sorry,
Social-
Honourable Chacham, kindly take your seat, please. There's too much noise and you're drowning out the speaker on the floor. I'm addressing both sides of the House. I do need to protect the speaker. You may proceed, Honourable Chacham. Honourable Dagmore, we are all honourable members, thank you. You may
Under
proceed,
this program,
Honourable
rural
Chacham.
development coordination, social facilitation, farm worker development are part of this program, which in my view is so critical because it also deals with transforming the agricultural landscape in our communities and the economics there. And therefore, it empowers the farm workers in particular, this program. But I wonder who the manager of this program is. Maybe at some stage we will be told, maybe the MEC will tell us, because through the last 2-3 financial years, we have seen an exodus of skilled staff leaving the department. Leaving the department. Currently, we have about only 29 personnel. We used to be more than 30 that were there. Information at hand speaks to that at least 13 staff left the department. The last one leaving in December last year. Some of the staff that resigned giving a minute note or not notice at all, and even not getting an exit interview in the process. Some of them, we can mention Emma Patientia, Gail Jacobs, Karin Kleinboy, Charmaine Sobe, even the PA of Angelique Smith, Nolundi Henry, Wilton September, Erika Mano Damons, Eben Sal, Danasile, Cindy Biervengal, Felicia Klute, Simpue Kut. It hurts.
Honourable
they left-
Chacham, I'm very sorry, but your time has expired. You may finish your question.
No,
You can finish your last sentence. Your time has expired.
I must say that the information that we have, the head of the department does not know what to do and does not know how to deal with managers that manages people. That's the reason that even exit interviews were not carried out.
Thank you, Honourable Chacham. In the absence of the ACDP and the EFF, the Chief Whip is in the House. I now see the Honourable, the Minister, Minister Schaefer.
Thank you, Speaker. I think, thank you to Honourable Member Simmers for his comments that he has made. But really, Member Chacha, we go back for the last 5 years, and I don't think that was your best attempt at trying to convince me that you were talking really about what you know in agriculture. I have to say, first of all, I'd like to raise the fact that the land reform independent study was externally done. It had 39 criteria that was used to determine its success. These criteria cover all 3 elements of sustainability, which include economic, social, and environment. 243 projects were supported between 2014 and 2018, and of those 243 projects, 72% were found to be successful. And what I can say is that Africa Check did not dispute any findings, and they did ask us for the details. They did not dispute the findings of the research study. In terms of the allegations that you're making around the department possibly being influenced. I find that that is also not fair, because it doesn't matter who stands as a minister. This department has maintained their integrity. They've had clean audits from 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2013, 2014, 2014, 2015, 2015, 2016, and so it goes on. So if there's any influence...
Honourable Member Schaefer, Minister Schaefer, kindly take your seat, please. Honourable Chacham, you have been afforded 10 minutes to speak. You had your 10 minutes. If you wish to pose a question to the Minister, you can ask her through the chair if she wishes to take a question. You are allowed to interject, but it cannot become ongoing interruption. Thank you. So do you wish to pose a question?
I would wish to pose a question.
So I'll ask the Minister, you kindly take your seat, please. Minister, will you take a question from the Honourable Chacham? The Minister will not take a question. Honourable Chacham, the Minister will not take a question. Please compose yourself. Thank you. You may proceed, Minister.
I said to you, Member Chacham, you're most disappointing today. I think very important is, and I'm not going to go into the court case again, we have discussed this at length. Human capital development with a focus on youth, women, especially from our designated groups, will remain a high focus and has always been. This department doesn't need an instruction from me or anybody else. They know what they have to do. 120 youth, young agricultural graduates, will be continued to be supported and mentored by more than 60 farmers and the industry partners, from black and white farmers included. It is not a race issue. About 240 beneficiaries will benefit from our internships, bursary and young professional programs. Mr. Michael Appelis in the audience is one such person who has progressed and was supported by this department. He progressed from our scholarship program in grade 11 to Masters in Civil Engineering. He is now employed in the department as a candidate engineer. There are many such success stories. So please, Honourable Member, that is not true. There is no conspiracy theory about people resigning. This is a department that works for the people on the ground. They do extensive work there. If it wasn't for them, I know that even Cyril Ramaphosa, the President himself, has acknowledged the work that we do in this province. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Schaefer. That, honourable members, concludes the debate on this vote. The House will be suspended for the administrative bay exit, and we shall resume in 3 minutes. Thank you.